Please subscribe and you can download this code from description below. Title: Passing input as parameter to a Flask root function with a fixed URL. Introduction. Flask is a lightweight web framework for Python that makes it easy to build web applications. One powerful feature of Flask is its ability to pass input parameters to root functions. In this tutorial, we'll explore how to pass input as a parameter to a function in a different root while maintaining a fixed URL structure. Prerequisites. Make sure you have Flask installed. If not, you can install it using creating a simple Flask app. Let's start by creating a basic Flask application with two roots, one to take user input and another to process it. In the example above, the index root renders an HTML form to take user input, and the process_input root processes the input passed as a parameter. Creating an HTML form. Create an HTML file named index.html in a folder named templates in the same directory as your Flask app. In the form above, we use the URL_for function to generate the URL for the process_input root and include an empty parameter, input_data equals. This sets up the URL structure for our fixed URL. Running the application. Save your Flask app as app.py and run it. Open your web browser and go to http://127.0.0.1:5000/. You should see the input form. Enter some data and submit the form. Conclusion. You've learned how to pass input as a parameter to a function in a different root in Flask while maintaining a fixed URL structure. This technique is useful for organizing your roots and separating concerns in a Flask application. Feel free to customize the example to fit your specific needs. ChatGPT. Sure, I'd be happy to help you with that. Here's a tutorial on how to pass input as a parameter to a function in a different root with a fixed URL using Flask in Python. Flask is a lightweight and versatile web framework for Python. In this tutorial, we'll explore how to pass input as a parameter to a function in a different root with a fixed URL. Make sure you have Flask installed. If not, you can install it using create a new Python file, example app.py, and set up a basic Flask application. Let's create a root that takes an input parameter from the URL. In this example, the show_user function takes a username parameter from the URL. Now, let's create another root with a fixed URL where we want to pass input from the user. Here, we've set a fixed URL for the /greet root, and we want to pass the username parameter to the show_user function. To pass the input parameter to the show_user function from the /greet root, we can use the URL_for function in Flask. Finally, run the Flask app to see the results. Visit http://127.0.0.1:5000/greet in your web browser, and you should see the dynamically generated URL with the username parameter. That's it. You've successfully passed input as a parameter to a function in a different root with a fixed URL using Flask. This technique can be useful when you want to reuse a function with dynamic parameters across multiple roots. ChatGPT.